Hi everyone, welcome to Healing with the Inner Tarot. My name is Rain. In this series, I'll be using this book, The Inner Tarot, written by Kate Van Horn, as my guide to a 78-episode healing journey that I'm happy to share with you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I just want to do a little disclaimer. I am not a therapist. I am a self-therapy enthusiast with a little bit of psychology education under my belt. So, if you feel the need to seek professional help, please do so. There are a lot of resources out there, paid resources and free resources. There are books, there are helplines, there are websites, there are YouTube channels. Get the help that you feel you need. And just a disclaimer as well, some of the things that we talk about in this series might be triggers for people. After all, it is a series about healing. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the structure of the series. The structure of this series is simple. I'll be talking about the card that we're pulling each episode, how we can use the card to heal, both according to Kate's ideas in her book and my own ideas and practices that I already do or that I have already researched. I will be offering personal stories, journal prompts, and pulling some cards at the end. So in the description of this video, I will be leaving a lot of links for you, plus all of my resources. I have created a PDF workbook that you can download and print if you like, to use as kind of a homework for each episode. So that'll be available in the description below as well. Today we'll focus on the Ace of Pentacles and how we can use this card to help us heal. The suit of Pentacles, as described by Kate, is if you can see it, smell it, touch it, or hold it, it's Pentacles. Now, the Ace of Pentacles is about newness in every physical way. It's a gift that we only need to reach out and receive. And in this series, it's very appropriate that we're starting the first card with a gift of healing. This is how Kate describes the Ace of Pentacles in her book. The card is extending a hand with a gracious offer. Spirit is giving us something tangible and opportunistic to grab a hold of. Consider this an invitation to invest your time. The card shows the stable beginning of something that could grow and withstand the test of time. Now, I could add to this description by mentioning the gateway beyond in the distance. If you're ready to walk through the gateway of the Ace of Pentacles, you will have mountains to climb in your healing. But that wreath that covers the gateway is the wreath of victory. If you dare to walk through that gateway, my friends, you are on a pathway to success. This is the beginning of a healing journey, my friends. Spirit is offering us a chance to invest in ourselves and receive that coin of healing. It's a chance to start healing our bodies because the body does hold trauma. So for today's card, I will be focusing on how to heal the body, how we can help our bodies release stored or buried trauma. Now here's a quote from the company Coreflex Wellness. Emerging evidence suggests that trauma doesn't just affect your brain, it affects your cells too. Recent studies reveal that stem cells can actually store your tissue's past memories. They call these playfully issues in your tissues. Those issues in your tissues may harm your physical and emotional health. Now, I'm no scientist, but reading something like that really kind of validates my experiences in life of how I feel that my body is storing some deep-rooted trauma. And I'll talk about that as we go along in this episode. In her book, Kate talks about the pentacles in general, and she compares our physical senses with our psychic senses. Just as we can store information in our psyche, we can store trauma in our bodies. Now, I'm going to give you just a quick primer about conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, just so there's no confusion in the terminology, because I think it relates very, very much to the body as well. Now, if we look at this very popular photo of an iceberg, we can see that the conscious mind is the present mind. What you're aware of, your senses signal your conscious mind so that you're mindful and receptive of what's going on around you in the present moment. Your conscious mind does not store information. It's just what's happening now. For example, you look out your window and you see a woodpecker in the maple tree. Well, that's your conscious experience. And in your body, for example, if you stub your toe, ouch, that pain is conscious. That's a conscious feeling. It's not something that's going to be stored because it's happening right now. So if we go back to the iceberg, we look at the subconscious mind that stores thoughts, actions, or brain processes that we're not quite aware of. For example, you get up in the morning and you head for the coffee maker. You're kind of on autopilot because you're tired, but you've done this so many times over and over that it's not something you're consciously deciding to do. You just kind of know you're going to do that. And if you think about it later, you're like, oh yeah, I'm tired, so I want to make coffee and I know how to do that. That's stored in your subconscious mind because eventually you become aware of it. Now, there's a very popular example out there that when you're driving home, my dog just sat down. When you're driving home, you just make that right turn because you know that's the way to go. You're not consciously saying, okay, I have to make a right turn now because my house is that way. You just know it's there because it's stored in your subconscious mind. So in your body, I have a personal example of something that's been stored in my subconscious mind and how it affects, how it's traumatized my body. Some people know this, most people don't, but I have trouble swallowing food. It's mostly here. Food gets stuck here, where the sphincter either opens up for the esophagus to swallow food or it closes so that you can breathe. And also kind of here, where my diaphragm is, the base of my esophagus, food gets stuck there. And it doesn't always happen. It's very, very random. And it's worse, I find, when I don't sleep enough or when I'm under stress. So about a month and a half ago, I made myself a pizza. I wasn't even thinking of the swallowing issue at all. I had Italian music playing. I was drinking a little red wine. I was making my pizza pie. I was having a great time. Took my first bite, not even thinking of anything. I was watching Happy Days, you know, watching the Fonz. And all of a sudden, the food went down, but all of a sudden I started to get a physical reaction. I started to get hot from the back of my neck all the way down to my throat. I started shaking. I started sweating. My heart started beating like crazy. My face got all red. This happened in the space of about a minute. And this was a reaction from my subconscious mind that stored these traumatic memories of whenever food got stuck. And I had a physical reaction. Now, the physical reaction was caused by the stored memories that I remember when all those times food got caught. There was one in particular in 2014. I was eating a hamburger and it got stuck at the base of my esophagus. And I'm not joking or exaggerating. It took over 36 hours for that food to drop. I was in excruciating pain. There was such a blockage, and sorry for the TMI, but I couldn't even swallow water. It would get stuck and I would have to bring it back up. And it was getting to the point where I was thinking I had to go to the hospital to get this blockage unblocked. But I started getting even more panic and more physical symptoms because my subconscious had also stored some very traumatic memories of when I had to do this 3 other times to go to the hospital and see a gastroenterologist and have a gastroscopy down my throat. This is the most horrible thing I can't say that I've ever gone through, but it was horrible. It's a tube that they put down your throat. You're awake and you have to swallow it until it gets to the base of your esophagus, and they go like this with it to try to push through. It was traumatizing for me, and that's one of the reasons why I was having a physical reaction. Remembering what that time in 2014 when the food got stuck for 36 hours or more, remembering all the other times that I had to go to the hospital for a gastroscopy, remembering times when the food actually did get stuck and I was in a panic. All these things were triggering this physical reaction in my body from my subconscious mind. Now, as luck would have it, the food dropped. The hamburger got unblocked. Somehow, I don't know how, I was just lying down, and I remember feeling this excruciating pain at the base of my esophagus. It felt like it was being stretched and ripped apart, but the food dropped, and thankfully I didn't have to go through all of that trauma of going through a gastroscopy again. These are all symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder as well, which also, when you have that disorder, you store trauma in your body, in your subconscious, in your unconscious, and we'll get to that after. But the panic temptation when this happens to me is to think that I'm choking. My logical mind takes over and says, no, 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 Rain, you're fine. It's your esophagus. It's not your trachea. You can breathe. You're not going to die. But tell that to the panicky, traumatized body, right? So how are you supposed to release this kind of trauma from your subconscious mind? That's difficult because it's always going to be there when I think about it. The subconscious will always remember those traumatic experiences. I've found a way to manage it, though. For me, like I said, it gets worse when I don't sleep enough and when I'm stressed. So stress management and being able to sleep really, really helps a lot. Mainly physical activity. Exercise really manages my stress levels, and sleeping well keeps everything running smoothly. So I give myself the gift of daily activity, daily physical activity, and at least 7 hours of sleep every night. Now for the sleep, it's funny. I was going to take a picture of me, but I'm not ready to do that. I call it my fake face at night. At night, in order to sleep well, what I do is I put earplugs in. I put an eye mask on. I have a breathe right on my nose, and I have a mouth guard so I don't grind my teeth. So I call that my fake face. And I do, I tense all my muscles, and then I relax, and I put on some sleep music, and I fall asleep, and I'm able to sleep at least 7 hours a night. So that's what I do for my sleep routine. For my exercise routine, well, it's pretty simple. Between spring and about December, I have 5 dogs, and I walk them all. They all get at least an hour walk a day, and I can't take all 5 at the same time. So I take 2, then 1, then 2. So I get 3 hours of walking every day. And so that feels great, and that's the gift that I give to myself every day. Now, during the winter, I have a mini trampoline, and I jog and dance and walk on that for about 2 hours every morning so that I get my physical activity every day to manage those stress levels. And when you exercise too, it tires out the body, so you sleep better at night as well. And for the most part, this works for me. And I have to say that last episode I was talking to you about that happened when I was eating the pizza, nothing got stuck, but I still had the physical reaction. And to help deal with that, what I did was I stood back, said, "You're okay, Rain." Took some deep breaths, went outside, did a few things with my hands to sort of disassociate from all of those physical symptoms. It went away. I came back in. Even though I was trepidatious, I went back to the pizza and I was fine. So I have to deal with this on a daily basis. It's very difficult. All I can hope is that I don't think of the swallowing while I'm eating, because that probably makes it worse. But during that time when it happened, I can admit I was feeling a little lazy and I wasn't exercising as much. Plus I was under tremendous emotional stress at that time. So it's no surprise that it happened. Now we can go back to the iceberg to talk about the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind, my friend, this is the buried mind. This is where trauma is buried deep. Now, if we think about Freud's thoughts were that hidden mental contents were making people ill. As he understood it, these mental contents had been repressed and made unconscious. Now, by mental contents, I'm assuming he means traumatic experiences. Things that are buried in our unconscious mind are things like socially unacceptable ideas, prejudices and biases, for example, that people don't quite accept, wishes and desires that might be taboo or not good or healthy for us, traumatic memories, of course, painful emotions that have been repressed. All of that bad stuff gets buried when you're unable to handle it properly. And a lot of these unconscious traumas get stored in the mind from childhood traumas. So here's an example of an unconscious phenomena that might have happened to you. As an adult, maybe you're terrified of the dark. You don't know why. You have no reason to be afraid of the dark. But maybe as a child, you were locked in a closet. And as that little child, you were terrified. You didn't know how to get out. You didn't know what was around you. Children have great imaginations. Maybe the boogeyman is in there. You were so terrified that over the years, that traumatic event got buried in your unconscious mind. So much so to the point that as an adult, if you were asked, did you ever get locked in a closet? You'd be like, no, never. Because it's buried deep in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious has repressed that memory to keep you safe because you were unable to deal with it. Now, for the longest time, as an adult, I had pain in a certain area of my body, and I went to so many doctors and they could never find anything. But after burning out, I had a burnout in 2003, one therapist suggested that it was deeply buried trauma and perhaps I should try hypnosis. And she did it herself and she was great. I personally have no memory from before I was 8 years old, none. And for a long time I didn't have any memory from the age 12 and under. But with hypnosis and therapy, there were many repressed memories that surfaced. And after working through these memories, bringing them from the unconscious to my conscious mind, it was rough, definitely. But I was able to come to terms with these things that happened, and guess what? That mystery pain in my body dissipated and never came back. Seriously, I'm not kidding, it's gone. That's how I know firsthand that the body can remember trauma even if our minds are unaware of it. So, in our body, trauma may show up in the body as feeling on edge or nervous, muscle tension, trouble sleeping, insomnia, nightmares, memory issues, hair falling out. That's happened to me. Yeah, it really has. I had that for a while. Depression, avoidant behavior, and disassociation, disassociation, escapism, trying to disassociate ourselves from any kind of bad feeling. And tightness in our chest, that's another symptom that I had for the longest time. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was having a heart attack when it was definitely not a heart attack. It was buried trauma. This was another symptom I was having before I did the hypnotherapy. So after uncovering some of those repressed memories, that doesn't happen to me anymore either. I don't have tightness in my chest and thinking I'm going to have a heart attack. But at some point, even the body can't handle trauma anymore, and it comes out in such painful ways. So that's sort of the symptoms that you can feel if you have buried trauma in your body. So for me, releasing some of that buried trauma from my body through therapy and hypnosis helped. I still have a lot of buried trauma deep down, probably in my unconscious mind, but also in my body. I can feel it. It's a lifelong journey, and I'm willing to work at it. I'm willing to work on it through self-therapy, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this series, because I'm working through my healing as you are if you're following this series. So if we go back to the Ace of Pentacles card now. Now Kate has some ideas. After she describes a little bit about the Ace of Pentacles card, she has a section called How to Connect with the Card. She says, place your body in the hands of Mother Earth to ground yourself. Grounding yourself helps you become aware of what's happening now. And what I read is that It's a great practice for those of us who have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It can help you to cope. It can help you stabilize your thoughts and regulate your emotions. So what you want to do is go outside and find a quiet spot in nature. If you're lucky enough to have a backyard, you can go out onto the lawn in your backyard as my dog decides to walk around and make a little noise. You can go to a park. You can go to the woods. If you're someone, like I have some friends who live in high rises in cities, and they may not have green spaces available, go out onto your balcony. It's just the point of being outside and connecting with Mother Nature. And I was just thinking of something right now. My hardware store has this fake grass stuff. It's green and it actually feels like grass when you touch it. I buy it and I put it on my stoop and on my porches. I just absolutely love it. So I was just thinking, those of you who have a balcony, maybe you can buy just a little square of that fake grass so you can dig your feet into it as you're doing the grounding exercise. Anyway, I was just thinking about that. So when you find that spot, Kate says, take the deepest breath of your day and visualize the earth element making its way into your physical body. When I first did this exercise, I imagined myself transforming into a beautiful maple tree. My legs became the trunk of the tree, my arms the branches, and my energy was radiating out as beautiful green leaves. I felt so empowered in that moment. I do this grounding every day now. It doesn't take long, but it really helps if you want to practice being mindful. Mindfulness really does help you manage stress. It helps you to take a step back and not be reactive and impulsive. It can help with anxiety too. I've been doing this for the last 5 days and I feel great. I have had no issues swallowing food either, I have to say, which I'm really happy about. And also, I feel that it helps me connect to my inner thoughts, to my emotions and to my goals and my desires, you know. And I truly believe it's going to help release the trauma that's buried in the cells of my body. Instead of disassociating from the traumatic pain, I'm relaxing my body. I'm bringing my thoughts to the present and using all of my senses to remain calm and at peace. And during times like this, your body can feel safe enough to release some of that trauma. Now, the next part of the healing journey that Kate has in her book is called Deeper Reflection. This is where we take a deeper dive into the ideas behind the Ace of Pentacles. And Kate's deeper dive is a fun one. It's to create a vision board. And she writes, the universe wants to give you something. So show the universe what's on your wish list and get specific, but make sure you create what you're willing to work towards. Now, she's got some fun ideas for vision boards. There's always the traditional one where you take pictures and images from magazines and you put them on a poster board and then you pop it up somewhere where you can see it. Well, she also says, and I love this idea, is to create a board on Pinterest. I would keep it private myself, but add to it, add images that relate to what you want in your life. Another thing you can do is you can create a vision board journal where you're drawing or you're painting or you're collaging images inside that journal. And what you need to do is create it, look at it, and then be committed to taking steps to work towards it. I love this idea so much because it relates to something that I truly believe, the power of positive thinking. I think we can all agree that what you think in your head is what you will probably attract. And we're talking conscious thought here, not repressed, okay? If someone says to you, oh, you're such a klutz, and then you start to believe it and you're like, yeah, well, I do trip sometimes, and I do drop things and I break things. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm a klutz. And one day you're washing some beautiful crystal wine glasses and that person is standing right behind you. And all you can think of is, yeah, They know I'm a klutz. They know I'm going to break this wine glass. So what happens? You break the wine glass. Instead of focusing on washing the wine glass, you're focusing on the fact that you're going to break the wine glass. And you didn't do it on purpose. The wine glass is top heavy and it toppled over when the water spilled over. So you didn't do it purposely or consciously. It was just that you were focusing on breaking the glass, and you were nervous because that person was right behind you and the glass broke. Now this is an example of negative, negative thinking, the power of negative thinking. And we don't want any of that on our vision board. So on your vision board, if you're creating something like, for example, you want to leave a toxic relationship. On the vision board, don't put images of, someone walking away. Don't put images of, a couple breaking up or something like that. Keep it positive, because the power of positivity brings better things. And if you focus on good things that you want in your life, you will attract those good things. The universe is listening. I can attest to this because it's happening. It's been happening to me ever since I changed my inner dialogue to positive and supportive self-talk. We can also call this manifestation, right? And it's interesting because two friends of mine, Jackie and Saoirse, have just been discussing this on Jackie's channel, how to manifest. I believe it's called Manifestation 101, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description below so that you can get more information on manifestation. So create what you want in your life on your vision board. Here's one of mine. I have several. I have a few that are more private, but this one here I created on Photoshop with images, and it's the background now of one of my computer screens, so I'm always looking at it. Now for me, I've always wanted harmony at home. Peace of mind, calm, quiet, no tension, no hostility, no anger, no abuse. I just wanted to feel loved, happiness, comfort, and safety. I know I repeat this often, but that's all I've ever wanted in my own home. So I chose images of comfy scenes at home and an image of making money on YouTube because I'm still trying to do that. I'm still trying to make a career out of it. It's one of my goals. It's very tough, but I refuse to give up. Now the card under my image actually says harmony at home. And the one under that, my mortgage is paid off. And there are a few other images of comfy things that I would like going on in my home. And I do have an image of an old couple kind of growing old together, because eventually, I'm not sure, but I may want to be in a romantic relationship again. I would like to have a companion that I can grow old with. So this is all on my vision board. Just make sure you choose images that are very relevant and specific to what you want and what you're willing to work towards. So here are some of my own methods that I use to help release trauma from my body. I mentioned previously that I use physical activity, but I also use intentional movement. Now, intentional movement is when we move our body with the purpose of staying present and in a meditative state. I do this every day to help release stored and buried trauma from my physical body. Kate uses yoga. I personally stretch every day for about 20 minutes, which I guess is kind of similar to a yin style yoga. Intentional movement. Now, Kate mentions that one day after doing her yoga practice, she just burst into tears after doing some postures. She said the yoga postures were what helped release some trauma from her body, because her body felt safe enough to release that trauma at that point through some tears. And because she was doing movements with the intention of self-love, her body felt safe. So it has to be consistent, though. We can't just do it one day, or we have to train our body. So consistent, intentional movement that we do to love our bodies and to bring our bodies into a meditative state is what we're after. And some examples of intentional movement that you can do: Tai Chi, yoga, dancing, meditative walking. All of these things are a way to show ourselves self-love, and the body becomes aware of it. the body calms, focuses on the present and on our senses and on the movement, and the body starts to release trauma. I want to share this quote from the mind-body therapist named Kelly Vincent. She says, "Intentional movement releases any stored energy while helping the brain recognize the difference between tension and relaxation." I absolutely love this idea. If we do things consistently, we train our brain to react differently. If we think of trying to change a habit, they say it's 28 days. If you do something consistently, you've changed a habit. Well, it's the same thing with our bodies. If we do something consistently, our body is trained to relax and to focus on our senses, and we're able to release some of that trauma. Also, there are many forms of self-therapy that you can try, and in the description below, I have a link to an article that you might find interesting. It's called How to Release Trauma from the Body. Now, we're on to a little bit of journaling now. Here are some Ace of Pentacles prompts for you. And again, these will all be listed in the PDF workbook that I have in the description below that you can download. These are from the book Journaling with the Tarot. So here are some general prompts that you can use when working with the Ace of Pentacles. What excites you about the future? How are you saving for the future? What are you doing to take care of your body? Why might it be a good idea to slow down and appreciate what's around you? How can you invest in your personal development this year? I have a lovely book. It's called Trauma Healing Journal for Women. Now, it's for men too. I think it was just marketed that way. And for this series, I'll share the specific trauma healing prompt with you. This prompt is under the heading Understanding Trauma. So here's the prompt. Can you pinpoint when you first recognized the impact of trauma in your life? Can you pinpoint when you first recognized the impact of trauma in your life? Now, this is a biggie, right? Because it's going to really have you thinking about your past and trying to ground yourself so you can think of, can you pinpoint this? Now, it's hard to do. Personally, I had a lot of childhood trauma, but I can't pinpoint when that particular trauma started to affect me physically. I can share a personal story. This is what I can pinpoint as the trauma that started officially as my anxiety and panic disorder and depression. In 1986, my childhood sweetheart passed away. We were both 17 at the time. His name was Marty, and he loved hockey. I remember putting a hockey card on his grave every year when I lived in Montreal, without fail, until I left Montreal. Little hockey card on his grave. It was a brain aneurysm, and it was very sudden. And I went to the funeral parlor, and I saw him lying in the casket, and it traumatized me. I didn't know that I was dealing with anxiety and panic and depression. I knew that I often felt very miserable. I would often feel like I couldn't breathe and I was going to die. I had terrible fear. Now, I did go to see a doctor at that time. I was 17, remember? And here is the eye-rolling moment that we can all share. He said to me, "There's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head, and you're just going to have to find a way to deal with it." Right? But I was 17, I believed him. But that led to disassociation and escapist behavior and bad habits for me. Too much drinking, self-medicating. Yeah, I did some drugs too. When I smartened up about all that stuff, I realized that was bad for me, but I didn't deal with the trauma. So I replaced one addiction, dependence, dissociative escapism behavior with another one. I became a workaholic. And for 9 years, I worked 100 plus hours a week. I never took a vacation or a day off. I was just so escaping through work. Well, finally, my body gave up on me and I had a really, really severe burnout. And, but therapy that I had after the burnout opened my eyes. I finally had a medical term for what I was going through. Anxiety and depression and panic. And the doctor there didn't tell me it was in your head. She said, this is what you have, and this is why you have it, and I'm going to help you. So that was the first step towards me being able to find ways to heal from all of this trauma. It was by gaining knowledge and support. And I know that by pinpointing this, it helps me to realize that I was a 17-year-old kid who saw one of my greatest friends die and lie dead in a casket. Of course that was traumatizing for me, you know? So that's how I can pinpoint it. So if you take some time to think about this and journal this, it might give you some insight into what is buried deep, what kind of trauma is buried deep, either in your mind or in your body. Okay, that was a bit heavy. I hope you guys are doing okay. I had to take a moment. I'm going to lighten things up a little bit here. I'm going to pull a few Ace of Pentacles cards from some of my animal decks because not only do I love animals, but I think they have a lot to teach us. So this first card here, this is the beetle card from the Animal Totem Tarot. I read something interesting about the beetle totem. I'm discombobulated because of that last segment, but I'll try my best here. So this is what I read. Beetles are comprised of 3 main parts: the head, the abdomen, and the thorax, which directly correlates to the natural laws of 3. You will receive 3 times the energy that you put out. And if you are honest and just in your work, you will be rewarded. This is a lovely message, and I think it goes very well with today's episode. We're beginning a new journey. So let's put all of our genuine effort into it so that we can really feel rewarded by our healing efforts. Now, this is from the Wise Dog Tarot. I love this tarot deck. We have this beautiful golden-haired dog. The energy of this card is golden. If you take honest steps towards your goal, again, you will be rewarded the gold prize of healing. I love this. So I'd like to pull an oracle card for the collective out there as something we can keep in mind with regards to healing our bodies. Now this is from the Whispers of Healing Oracle deck. I have the card, Listen to Your Body. This beautiful maiden seems to be in a meditative state. She's calm and relaxed. The little dragon on her back is whispering messages of self-confidence and persistence. She's paying attention to what's going on in her body. Her body is always communicating with her, as our bodies are always communicating with us. You know, our bodies tell us if we're tired or hungry, if we need to stretch a muscle, if we need to put ice on a muscle, or if we need to drink some water. The question is, are you listening? So this card goes back to the idea of grounding, being present, and intentional movement to calm the mind and listen to the body. So those are the cards I pulled, and I kind of saved this little nugget for the end. I wanted to let you know in the downloadable PDF workbook, I've included an original tarot spread that you can do on how to connect with your body. So that's my little gift to you. So in conclusion, what are the points we should think about today, my friends? Well, the first point is that our bodies store trauma, just as our mind stores trauma in our unconscious. The second thing we should remember is that we may need to seek professional therapy to unlock that trauma. If you feel like you need to, please do so. Number 3, we can try things at home, like grounding exercises, physical activity, a vision board to keep our motivation in line with our goals, intentional movement like yoga and intuitive dancing to help the body realize that it's safe enough to release that trauma. The fourth thing we can do is journaling our thoughts through prompts, or just keeping a diary, or keeping a dream diary. All of these ideas for journaling. And the fifth, and for me the most important takeaway, is education. Learning more about how trauma gets stuck in the body and how to release it is the first step in healing. So that's our show for today, my friends. What did you think? Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for being here, and I really hope something resonated with you and you got some value out of this. Share this video with anyone you think might find it useful. And please do check out all the goodies I've left you in the show notes below. And please take care of yourselves. Let me know what you're up to. If you want to contact me, in the About section of this YouTube channel is my email address. Send me an email if you want. All I ask is please be patient for the reply. So next week's episode, we will be working with the Two of Pentacles. So until then, my friends, please take care of yourselves. I'm tapping my heart and sending you lots and lots of love. Thanks again for supporting me and for being here. Bye.